Hey guys, welcome to Project Overland USA. Today we're going to talk about what I want to do next to this Chevy Colorado, coming up right now. Hey, hit that subscribe button right now if you don't want to miss another exciting episode about this Chevy Colorado. So just to be clear, when I talk about the next things I want to do to the Chevy Colorado, I know there's a big difference between the things I really want and the things I really need. So today we're going to talk about some of those different things that I need and some of those things that I want. Now when we talk about things that I want, I really want a lot of things. Like, I would love to have a big lift on this thing. I would love to have front and rear bumpers with swing out carriers. I would love to have a wrap for this vehicle to keep pinstripes down on the vehicle when I'm out in the woods. I would love to have a multi-tier radio system set up in this truck. I would love to have a truck cap on this truck. I would love to have new wheels and tires. I would love to have some sliders. I would love to have some Under Armour body protection so that if I'm going off-road I won't damage anything. I would love to have a new muffler system. I would love to have a snorkel on this truck. I would love to have some really high intensity off-road lights that would light up the night sky when I'm going off-road. So those are just some of the things that I would just love to have on this truck. But we need to talk about what I really need and what I really want. So we're going to talk about some of those things today. Guys, ever since I started researching overlanding and also investigating buying this truck, one thing that I heard time and time again from very respectable overlanders is that the first thing you want to start with is tires and sliders. Now, they said start with tires and sliders first because the tires, they say, are the most important thing for any vehicle. Now, the reason that they kept saying tires and sliders over and over again is really, when you think about it, if you don't have the right tires for the right condition, you aren't going anywhere in nature. And then secondly, with the sliders, of course, if you're going anywhere remote, there is always that possibility that you may end up finding a rocky situation and you don't want your rear quarter panel damaged or anything on the underside of your vehicle damaged. So I can definitely see why they say tires and sliders first. So when I bought this truck, those were the two things that I thought about first. Was I need to get better tires and I definitely need to get sliders. But here's the thing for me, I just don't want to go out and buy some new rubber for this wheel. This is I believe a 29-inch wheel on a 17-inch rim. And to me, what I've seen time and time again is if you have anything decent off-road wise, it always goes with a 35-inch and at the very least a 33-inch tire. So I want to put at least a 33, if not a 35-inch tire on here. But I got one little problem. Okay, so here we are at my wheel well, and there's one big problem with me getting new tires for this. I got a tape measure to show you what that problem is. My wheelbase at about the middle only reaches 33 inches. Now, you know as well as I do that 33 inches is where I want to start at. I really want to be at 35 inches. So here's the thing, every time you turn your wheel, even if I put a 33-inch wheel on this to fit this, that wheel tilts a little bit out and it tilts a little bit in. So it's going to be rubbing up against this to the point where I probably won't even be able to turn the wheel. So here's my thing, I've got to get 33 to 35-inch tires on this thing, but I don't have the space for it. So I've got to cut these fenders all the way around at least 2 inches bigger so that I can fit 35-inch tires. So that's where I'm at right now. I want to put bigger tires on it. I want to put better tires on it. But I have to cut this out first. And so I've been looking around at different custom shops. I've been looking around at different repair shops. So far, I have not found anybody who is willing to cut out my fenders. Most of them said, no, we do not do that. We only do collision work. Or some of them have even said that your truck is too nice and we don't want to cut into it and be responsible for some type of damage or something. So I'm in a quandary now. I really want new tires, but I don't want to go out and buy a smaller set of tires just for the sake of getting new tires when I know I really want to go up to 35-inch tires. So with all that said, I'm going to find somebody to cut my fender out at least 2 inches around and also on the inside. Now there is a couple of people I've seen, well actually more than a couple of people I've seen on YouTube and on Instagram. They've done that very thing. They've cut their fender out, and some of them have even fit 37-inch tires on there, which I think is amazing. Some of them have even gone as far as to get fiberglass fenders that actually stick out more, and it gives the inside more room to have a bigger tire turn in there. I don't want fiberglass fenders. I don't think fiberglass actually looks good on a truck, especially when they bring the fenders out wider. So what I want to do is just have some type of custom shop cut out 2 inches around my fender, and then I'll be able to fit 35-inch tires in there without actually getting a lift. Because ideally, if I'm able to get my front control arms and my rear axle higher off the ground, that does a lot more for your vehicle going off-road than simply just giving it a lift kit. Because all you're doing is raising the body, but you're not lifting the actual front independent suspension or the rear axles off the ground. And those are typically the things that catch rocks and catch dirt and stuff like that. So this is one of the first things that I want to do on the vehicle, is put bigger tires and cut this fender. If you enjoy hearing about Chevy Colorados, be sure to hit that like button down below so that more people on YouTube will see this video. Thank you. So let's talk about the second thing that all these professional overlanders recommend that you get when you first buy your truck: tires and sliders. So I'm looking next to getting some sliders for this vehicle. Now, one thing about this truck, as I've mentioned in the previous episode, is that I have a long box. In other words, a long bed. So the vehicle actually comes back about 1.5 feet further than a normal ZR2. So what that means is I can't just buy the factory slider that comes with the ZR2, because it will only come back to this point right here, and I'm still leaving about 1.5 feet of my underside that's unprotected. So what I need to do is reach out to an aftermarket company and get one of their sliders that actually covers that. And there are a few companies that actually make sliders for a long bed like mine. So I'm going to be looking into those companies and seeing what they offer and which one is the best slider for me. And just to prove my point about why I need sliders, I got my trusty tape measure out again. From the ground to my quarter panel, you're looking at about 14 inches. So as you can see, as a truck, that's not really adequate ground clearance, especially if you're going to be in a rocky area. So I definitely need sliders. And if you go a little bit further and look at the actual frame of the truck, you're looking right about 11 inches. And that is wholly inadequate for an off-roading vehicle to be going anywhere near rocks or any type of off-road situation that different obstacles. So all that being said is, not only do I need some sliders, but I need some underbody protection as well. Now, a lot of you don't know, the Chevy Colorado Z71 long bed has a shorter breakover angle than the ZR2 does because of the wheelbase. The wheelbase on the ZR2 is shorter than the truck I have. So, and the ZR2 has a 2-inch lift to begin with. So I'm already fighting two different things: my breakover angle and the actual height of the truck, because I don't have a lift. So those are the two things that I'm definitely going to be looking at doing first with my truck. All right, so one thing about me is that I am a licensed ham radio operator. So I've gone through the testing, I've gone through the instructional, I've gone through all that to get my FCC license to transmit on ham radios. So one thing that I really want to do with this truck is get some radio equipment hooked up into it. I always tell people you should have 3 levels of communication. You should have a handheld radio, you should have a CB radio, and you should have a ham radio. And you need a backup to a backup to a backup. So that's why I tell people you need 3 levels of communication. So that's one of the first things that I think is necessary to do to this truck, is to get a radio put into it. Especially if we're going to be driving in areas that don't have cell phone service. It's extremely vital. That's what I think is really important, is to get a ham radio hooked up into my truck. So one of the things that I would love to have for the Chevy Colorado is a lift. Now I know I've talked about opening up this wheel well, putting bigger tires on here, but I even would like a lift too. Whether it's 2-inch lift, 3-inch lift, or something bigger. I would just have to wait and research more on that to see which one would be best for this. But I do know that having a lower center of gravity is always good when you're going off-road, because that way you're less likely to tip over if you're doing some type of maneuver. So I know there's a few companies out there that do different lifts. There's the big ones that I know of are BDS, Icon, King, and also Peak Suspension. I do know that there may be a few other companies out there such as Rough Country or some other brands that I'm just not familiar with. And I do know that there's also Zone, which is part of BDS. So they all do different varying lifts for this Colorado. So in the comments below, tell me what height of lift you think I should go with for the Chevy Colorado. Hey guys, so here we are at the front of the truck, and this is one of those areas where do I need it or do I want it? So I really want a front bumper on this truck because I think it will look very, very tough and very, very cool. But do I really need it? Now, so I'm thinking I definitely need a winch because this truck has such low ground clearance that I need something to pull me out of the mud bogs or over the rocks if I get stuck or hung up on something. I need something to pull me out. And right now, there's really no options to put a winch on this truck without doing an aftermarket bumper. So maybe I'll get 2 things in one, something I want and something I need. So there's a number of different full-size bumpers out there. And I know there's a lot of half-size bumpers. There's a lot of bumpers that maybe just cover this area here. There's some bumpers that just cover this portion here. There's also full guard bumpers that cover this whole area here. Now for me, I definitely like the look of a full guard bumper, something that has a bull bar that covers the lights, the grill, and all this area in here. So for me, I think I definitely want to go with a full guard bumper. There's some nice looking half guard bumpers out there, but they don't offer the protection on the grill and on the headlights. So I definitely would like to go with a full guard bumper. So that leaves me with actually less options than if I just want to go with a half guard bumper. I know CBI makes an awesome front looking bumper. I think their bumpers are the best looking bumpers out there, and especially those bumpers they put on the Toyota 4Runners, those look awesome. And I would love to have something that looks just like that on the Chevy, but they only make a half guard bumper and a little bar that comes over this, and that's just not enough protection for me, although it does look cool. So the full guard bumpers, we have a few different choices. We have the ARB, they came out with a full guard bumper, and then we also have 589 Fabrication, they have a full-size bumper as well. And I know there's a few lesser known names out there that have full-size bumpers. So in the comments below, let me know which full guard bumper do you think I should go with. Now, talking about full guard bumpers and why I want a full guard bumper versus why I need one for a winch, what type of winch should I go with? I know Warren's an awesome brand out there. I know that there's other brands that also are highly sought after and spoken of. But what type of winch do you think I should go with? I know that they say that you should go with a winch that has the weight and a half of your vehicle, And so that's around 9.5 tons of pulling power. However, I'm going to load this thing up, so I'm thinking I need to go with something a little bit bigger than 9.5, so maybe 10. I don't know. What's the next one up? Is it 10? Is it 10.2? I don't know for sure. But that's something that I definitely want to look at and get for my truck coming up real soon. Guys, in the comments below, tell me what I should do first with this Chevy Colorado. All right, now YouTube's gonna have a floating box right in this area here of the next video that you should be watching.